Hello aspirants, welcome to Epitome IAS. This is Mansoor. So as a part of Ncrt series, so far we have finished 6th class, 7th class and 8th class, and in today's class we are going to start with 9th class Geography Ncrt. So in today's class we will be seeing India, size and location. This particular topic comes under chapter 1 of 9th class Ncrt. So if you see here in the previous classes, already we have discussed India's size and location. So again, since we are covering 9th class Ncrt, he has given this chapter again in this particular class. So here what we will be doing is, majoritarily we will be covering, or we will be recollecting the facts which were already learnt in previous classes. So if you see here, we already know that India is a very big country. It is having an area of nearly 3.28 lakh square kilometers. Okay. So the point here is, see what we have discussed in previous classes. We understood that India is in northern hemisphere. So what is a northern hemisphere? If this is a 0 degree latitude, this 0 degree latitude is called as an equator. So towards the north of this 0 degree latitude, the entire hemisphere we call it as an northern hemisphere, and towards the south of this equator we call it as an southern hemisphere. Okay. And if you see the location of India as per these hemispheres, India is located in northern hemisphere, somewhere here. And particularly if you see the prime meridian, which is 0 degrees latitude, 0 degrees longitude, towards the east of this longitude we call it as an eastern hemisphere, and towards the west of this longitude we call it as an western hemisphere. So now we can come to a conclusion that India is presented in northern hemisphere and eastern part of this 0 degree longitude. So we can tell that, see, in mathematics we know there are 4 coordinates. We have seen the 4 coordinates depending upon the x-axis and y-axis. Okay. If you consider this latitude as an x-axis and this longitude as an y-axis, in which quadrant India will be having? India is located in quadrant 1. Okay. So India is located in northeastern hemisphere, northern hemisphere as well as eastern hemisphere. So we can come to a conclusion that India is located in northeastern hemisphere. So this is what we have learned in previous classes. And we also seen that through India, we have seen that an important latitude, that is 23 degrees and half north latitude, which is called as Tropic of Cancer, will be passing through India. Okay. And India is nearer to equator. And if you see this Andaman and Nicobar Islands, these Andaman and Nicobar Islands are very near to the equator, and we also understood that the climate of this Andaman and Nicobar, majoritarily it resembles the equatorial type of climate. So what happens in equatorial type of climate? Obviously, we will be seeing the rainfall, continuous rainfall, okay, for majority of the time, and we will be seeing the thick forests are grown in this equatorial region. Okay. And we also learned that the climate of India is monsoonal climate. The climate of India is monsoonal climate. Okay, because the majority of the climatic characters or conditions were dependent on this monsoon. Okay, right. So these are the things which we have learned in previous chapters. And we also seen that towards for suppose if this is India, towards the eastern side of India, we will be having a Bay of Bengal. Towards the western side of India, we will be having Arabian Sea. And in Arabian Sea, we are having Lakshadweep Islands, and in Bay of Bengal, we have, what do we have? We have Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Okay. And we also seen that these Lakshadweep Islands are made up of corals. We can call them as coral islands. And the islands in eastern side of India, that is the islands in Bay of Bengal, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, some islands are formed because of coral activities, some islands are formed because of volcanic activities, Some islands are formed because of the continuation of Himalayas. Okay, and we also read that these Himalayas will be starting from the western side of northern part of India, that is in Jammu and Kashmir. Then from west of the northern side of India, from Jammu and Kashmir, it will be traveling along the eastern side of India, and in Arunachal Pradesh it will be taking a turn, and it will be traveling towards the northeastern states, and the Himalayas in northeastern states were called as Purvanchal Himalayas. And in Purvanchal Hills or Purvanchal Himalayas, we will be having Mizo Hills, Naga Hills, Patkai Hills. And the continuation of those hills is Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, some part of islands were the continuation of those Himalayas. And we also read that these Himalayas which were present on the northern side of India, they will be acting as boundaries, northern boundary for India. Okay, towards the northern side of Himalaya, we will be having China. Towards the southern side of Himalaya, we will be having India. And we also read that the westernmost boundary, we can, if you talk with respect to the rivers, we can tell that Indus River is the western boundary of Himalayas, and the Brahmaputra River can be considered as the eastern boundary of Himalayas. Okay. And we also read that the extension or the width of Himalayas will be reducing from west towards the east. That means in the western side of Himalayas, the width of the Himalayas is very high. Once if you start traveling from west towards the Arunachal Pradesh, the width of Himalayas would be very small, it will be reducing. Approximately near the western side will be having a width of 400 kilometers. For suppose if you take, this is a Himalayan range, the western side will be having 400 kilometers width, and towards when it comes to the eastern side, the width will be only 150 kilometers. And we also understood that the height of the Himalayan mountains would be very high in the western part of these Himalayas when compared to the eastern part of Himalayas. These are the things which we have learned regarding India and its location. Right, now, so if you see this particular chapter, again this particular chapter is giving out that facts. So if you see the longitudinal and latitudinal extent of India, in previous chapters we learned that if you see the latitudinal extent, okay, towards the northern side of India, towards the northernmost tip of India, which latitude is passing? 36 degrees 6 minutes north latitude is acting as a boundary, or it is a northernmost latitude which is passing through India. And if you see the southernmost latitude, which latitude is passing to the southernmost point of mainland India? It is 8 degrees 4 minutes north latitude. And if you see the longitude, towards the eastern side or the easternmost part of India, 97 degrees 25 minutes east longitude is passing through the easternmost point of India. And if you see the westernmost point of India, which longitude is passing? 68 degrees 7 minutes east longitude is passing through the westernmost point of India. And we also understood that the longitudinal extent is very, very important for determining time. Okay, so if you see, generally the longitudinal distance was some 30 degrees. There is variation between the easternmost longitude as well as westernmost longitude. So if you go by longitudes, obviously there would be a time difference of 2 hours when compared to the easternmost point with respect to the westernmost point. So in order to cater this time difference, we have chosen 82 degrees and off, see this is 82 degrees and off east longitude. This longitude is chosen as a standard meridian. So we will be determining the time of entire India based upon this longitude. In previous chapters, we have seen how to calculate the time, how we are coming to a conclusion that this longitude is suitable for India. Okay, right. So, and we also understood that Tropic of Cancer is passing through India. Okay, so this is the Tropic of Cancer. This is one of the important latitude. Right. So these are the things which we should understand by referring to this map. And if you talk about the Andaman and Nicobar Island, if you talk about entire India, I am not talking about mainland. In mainland, on mainland, the last latitude would be 8 degrees 4 minutes north latitude. But when you consider the Andaman and Nicobar, if you go to the last tip of Andaman and Nicobar, that is Indira Point, there the latitude, what is the latitude? It is 6 degrees 45 minutes north latitude. Okay, this is also one of the important points. Sometimes he might be asking the mainland India, sometimes he will be asking the entire India. Okay, so if he is asking the entire India, then we should tell that the southernmost latitude or the southernmost extension would be 6 degrees 45 minutes north latitude. Okay, so these are the things which we should understand by using this map. Now if you see the content, what he has given, again the same content has been repeated in this chapter. So he is saying that 8 degrees 4 minutes north latitude and 37 degrees 6 minutes north latitudes are the extents of India, and he is talking that 68 degrees 7 minutes east longitude and 97 degrees 25 minutes east longitude as the boundaries of the India, right? And he is saying that Tropic of Cancer is passing through India, and we also read that 3.28 million square kilometers is the area which India has there, and we can tell that India accounts totally 2.4% of total geographical area that is available on land. Okay, and now the important thing which we should understand from this particular chapter is regarding the boundaries. If you see the boundary of India, the land boundary of India is 5,200 kilometers. Okay, and if you see the total length of the coastal line that India is having, the coastal line length is 7,516.16 kilometers. See, here I am talking this 7,516.6 kilometers is coastal line. Okay, here this coastal line includes Lakshadweep as well as Andaman and Nicobar. Okay, including Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar, India is having a coastal length of 7,516.6 kilometers. Okay, and here he is mentioning the boundaries of India. Towards the northern side of India, we are having the young fold mountains, that is Himalayan mountains, and it starts from the northwest and towards the north, and towards the northeast we will be having these Himalayan mountains as boundaries, and towards the southern side of India we will be having Indian Ocean as boundary, and towards the west, in western side we will be having Arabian Sea, and towards the eastern side we are having Bay of Bengal. Okay, so this is what given in this particular chapter, right? If you see India, if you compare India with the world, so we can tell that India is located centrally on the earth. Okay, right? So here he has given one graph. If you see this graph, through this graph we can understand that India's position with respect to the area would be 7th position. Okay, the first place, which country is in first place? Russia. Russia is having 17.09 million square kilometers. Then in second place, Canada. Canada is having 9.99 million square kilometers. USA is having 9.83 million square kilometers. Then China 9.60. Then Brazil 8.51. Australia 7.69, and India is having 3.28 million square kilometer. So this ranking is also important fact we should be knowing. Then if you see here, as I told you earlier, India is centrally located on the earth. From west towards the east, if you see the map, we can find that India is centrally located, and India plays a major role in transportation. Either it might be the sea route, or either it might be the air route, or either it might be the roadways. So India's position, geographical location of India is very beneficial, because this is the center point for all the trade routes that are passing across the globe. And if you see the neighbors of India, since India is located in very strategic area, we can tell that the location of India is very, very important. Now if you see the boundaries of India, India will be sharing boundaries with some countries. What are they? See, if you go from the west towards the east, see, first the Pakistan would be one of the boundary for India, then Afghanistan second, then third country with which we are having boundary is China, or we can call it as a Tibet. Then we are having boundary with the fourth country is Nepal, fifth country is Bhutan, then sixth country is Myanmar, and seventh country is Bangladesh. So India is having boundaries with 7 countries. What are they? Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tibet, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, and Bay of Bengal. And towards the southern side of India, if you see, we are having 2 island countries. What are the 2 island countries which shares boundaries? One, Sri Lanka, second one is... So if you see the boundaries of India, first country is Pakistan, second country is Afghanistan, third country is China, we can call it as in Tibet, fourth country is Nepal, fifth country Bhutan, sixth Myanmar, seventh is Bangladesh. Okay, so these are the countries which shares land boundaries with India. And if you see the other countries which shares coastal boundaries or coastline boundaries, Sri Lanka is one of the country, and here we are having Maldives. Maldives is another country which shares maritime boundary with India. Okay, and if you see India with Sri Lanka, India is Sri Lanka is divided from the mainland India by 2 channels. What are they? One, Pak Strait, second one is Gulf of Mannar. Right. So these are the things which were given in this particular chapter. This chapter is a repetitive chapter, or we can call it as an the chapter which will be helpful for revising the things which we have learned in 6th class. Okay, so there is nothing much or nothing new, concepts that were given in this particular chapter. Okay, so I hope you understood or you have revised the concepts which you have learned in previous classes. And in chapter number 2, we will be reading regarding the physical features of India. So in these physical features of India, we will be reading about 6 physical features that India is having. What are the 6 physical features that India is having? First one, Himalayan mountains. Second one, northern plains. Third one, peninsular plateau. Fourth one, coastal plains. Fifth one, desert, Indian desert. Sixth one, islands. So in second chapter, we will be reading regarding these 6 physical features that India is having. Okay, and in third chapter, we will be reading regarding the drainage system. And in fourth chapter, we will be reading regarding the climate. And in fifth chapter, natural vegetation and wildlife. And in sixth chapter, we will be seeing the population distribution in India. Okay, so somewhere you can have the connection with the previous classes which we have already discussed in 6th class and 7th class. Okay, so I hope you understand this particular chapter. This is very small chapter, and this is an revision chapter. Okay, right. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you are having any doubts, please let me know in the comment section, and in next session we will be starting the physical features of India. So thank you so much for watching this video.